Yata for the sound of the mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment benevolent. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of nonviolent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Amoga Barochana Mahamudra Mani Padme Jvala Pravartaya
Please stand and join me in chanting of the three refuges. So as we chant the three refuges, please face the altar. There's a Buddha image there to remind us of the Buddha image of the Buddha within us. So bring your hands together, palm to palm, in this gesture we called Hapchang, uniting the right and left sides of our body. Standing so that you feel your feet connected to the earth beneath you. Just breathing. Throw your voice in as best you can. We will first chant a version of the refuges in Korean. This is homage to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and then in English. Shisim Wimyane Shivan Samse Chemam Chale Sanju Ilche Putaya
Shim Wimyane Shivam Samse Chemam Chale Sanchu Ilche Shim Wimyane Shimam Samse Chemam Chale Sanchu Ilche
Now, please repeat after me in English. I go for refuge to the Buddha
I go for refuge to the Buddha
and resolve with all beings
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
and realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
I go for refuge to the Dharma
and resolve with all beings
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings
I will penetrate the teachings
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
I go for refuge to the Sangha
and resolve with all beings
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please return now to your places for another shorter period of meditation. Please join me in some stretching as an end to our meditation practice. Pressure points along the skull are actually connected with our breathing. So it's helpful now and then to massage our skull, our scalp. And then massaging the ears as well. Remembering to breathe as we stretch the lower back, looking to the sky. Clasping your hands behind your back, leaning forward. And as we sit up, we do a spinal twist, first to the left, looking all the way over your shoulders, as far as the eyes will go. Coming to the center, looking to the right. Now join me in some big upper body circles, placing the hands at the base of the trunk. Reversing direction. Placing the right hand over the left ribs. Leaning toward the right. And then reversing direction. Clasping the hands behind the head at the base of the skull. Some sharp outward breaths. Twisting to the left, to the right. Bringing the hands up high. And then we'll drop the arms and the shoulders and do abdominal breathing. So having refreshed ourselves, we're ready for a Dharma talk. Or I am. I don't know about you, but I am. Right. right, thank you. So good morning and welcome to the Ann Arbor Zen Buddhist Temple. How many are here for the first time? All right, several new, and even those of us who've been coming for a while, we should be new as well, for sure. All right, so my name is Ma and I am one of the priests living here at the temple. I live in the original temple, the Yellow House next door. Today, I would like to start with a little reading from the Diamond Sutra. And this scripture is called, it's the diamond that cuts through illusion, the Diamond Sutra. It's one of the important scriptures that we have in our tradition. This is just a little bit of chapter 14. World honored one, today it's not difficult for me to hear this wonderful sutra, have confidence in it, understand it, accept it, and put it into practice. But in the future, in 500 years, if there is someone who can hear this sutra, have confidence in it, understand it, accept it, and put it into practice, then certainly the existence of someone like that would be great and rare. And so this is a conversation between Buddha and one of his disciples, Subhuti. So the reason this passage jumped out at me today as we were reading it at the breakfast table is we are in a time of transition. Last week, Jagwa spoke to us about impermanence. Impermanence really taking place in every single moment. Sometimes it seems like the transition that's going on is a bit bigger than that. And this is, at least for our organization, one of those times. The photograph on the altar, for those who have not been here or know much about our organization, the photograph is of our founder, Samu Sunam, as a young man. And so we are engaged in a 49-day practice for him and remembrances. So whenever a founder, a Zen master passes, that's a pretty big transition. We're also in transition at all of our temples. We have 5 temples. So in addition to this one here in Ann Arbor, there's a temple in Toronto, in Chicago, in Mexico City, in New York City, and we also have a farm in upstate New York. So our transition here in Ann Arbor is that Haji Sunam, our much beloved senior teacher, who's been here about 45 years, is retiring. And I have been tasked with being the director of this organization for the next 4 years. And so it's like, oh, a little heart-stopping. But recognizing that there's a lot of strength to draw upon. So today, I would like to explore this strength with you a little bit and engage you in this visioning of our future together. So I'm going to start. If you've ever had a chance to read or look at our website, read what's on there, this may be familiar to you. This is the story of our founding. Samu Sunam actually was trained in the mountain monasteries of South Korea, and he became enlightened there. He left there during the time of war because he was drafted to be in the army, and so he immigrated eventually to North America. And this is where the story picks up. In August of 1967, Sunam arrived in New York City. He supported himself by working the night shift at UPS. During the daytime, he would make posters and put them up in Washington Square Park and in Greenwich Village. In the evenings, before he went to work the night shift, he sat in meditation with whomever showed up for meditation practice. This is the beginning of Zen Lotus Society. Today we're named Buddhist Society for Compassionate Wisdom. It was originally Zen Lotus Society. In February of 1968, Sunam moved to Montreal, Canada. The Zen Lotus Society became established in a second-floor apartment on Park Avenue in Montreal, where he finally settled after having made the uneasy journey to America from the East. It was here that the society functioned by holding regular meditation classes and conducting weekend retreats. The society became the first Zen center in Montreal. When I first became acquainted with Samu Sunam, and it was in the spring of 1975, and the author speaking here is Assemble Alexandra Lindquist. So when I became acquainted with Samu Sunam, it was the spring of 1975. A handwritten poster on a telephone pole invited people to come and meditate. The temple was humble, to say the least. It was a dark basement apartment on Markham Street in Toronto's Italian neighborhood. Sunam shared the apartment with mice and other small rodents and was once even visited by a snake. The living room and dining room had been turned into a song bomb. The kitchen and one small bedroom, which was hardly big enough to lie down in, were used by Sunam as places to do his work and rest. Back then in 1978, things weren't quite as organized as they are at present. When we attempted to have our first Buddha's birthday celebration in St. Claren's, we were completely dependent on Sunam and the Koreans to know what to do. I remember walking around downtown Toronto, chanting with the Korean ladies, Sunam leading the way. Just a small band of us, maybe 10 or 15 people, carrying signs like, "The best education is no education." It was during this time that Sunam decided that if he wanted to do anything, we had to consolidate our incomes and live as cheaply as possible. So from August 1978 until April of 1979, we used Markham Street for practice, and people supporting the temple lived close by. These were wonderful days, as I remember, the good old days. I began to understand what Samu Sunam was trying to do. He worked hard organizing temple events for the Koreans and conducting Sunday services for them. He also kept teaching beginners classes and maintained a regular meditation schedule for Canadians. It would be easy for most people to get discouraged in such a situation. Anyway, as the year came to an end and winter set in, Sunam began planning for the spring. He decided late in the winter of 1978 that a temple should be bought from the Koreans. They had saved $11,000 in 7 years. And for some of them, this meant contributing all they earned to the temple while keeping just enough to get by on. Although the Gwynn Avenue Temple was still a construction site in late June and early July 1979, we moved in. Fortunately, it was summer and we could camp, so to speak. We had no plumbing, one electrical outlet, and one tap with running water. Thanks to the help of the co-op next door in sharing their facilities and to the great efforts of Sangha members, it all became a wonderful time. Many people lent a hand, some for a few hours. Others came, bedded down on bare floors, and helped for several months. Renovations went slowly because we were learning skills as we went all along. And at the same time, we had to go out and earn money to buy materials. That summer, we came to know the Korean members of our Sangha better. Not being able to help with the renovations, they invited us to their homes on many Saturday evenings for wonderful meals. We were touched by their generosity and by the appreciation they showed for the work being done on the temple. The devotion of older women, Pulsanims in particular, was something we had not experienced in our North American upbringing. The group, which had been fluid and eccentric, had for years deliberately remained on the fringes of society, settled down and focused wholeheartedly on renovating the temple and setting up formal Zen training in a North American context. Basic decisions were taken. The temple was to house a lay monastic community of men, women, and children living communally under a vow of poverty. A vegetarian diet was adopted. And so since these early days, we have diversified from this lay monastic community of men, women, and children living together under a vow of poverty. And as you look at our temple and our Sangha today, it has many aspects. We still have that core lay monastic element, people living at the temple, holding down the core space. But we've expanded, and so now we have family programs, Sunday services, special interest groups like Eco Buddhism and Aging, Death, and Dying. We support groups like Recovery Dharma. So people can touch the Dharma in many different ways outside of this small monastic community. Well, one thing that strikes me is back in the late 70s, this was not the traditional 5-year plan. This group was very grassroots and just allowed things to unfold according to their own terms. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit to 1981. In the fall of 1981, Sunim sent Sanbo, Alexander Lundquist, to Ann Arbor to found a temple. Haji Sunim at that point was Sanbo's partner, and so they came together. After an apartment and then a rented house on Arch Street, the Ann Arbor Temple found its permanent home on Packard Road in the summer of 1982. Although in much better shape than the Toronto Temple was, the Ann Arbor Temple nevertheless required extensive work. There was so much work to do that summer in 1983 on the old boarding house that was our temple. That's the yellow building next door. We clambered around the very high, steep pitched roof, tearing off the old shingles and putting on the new. The entire exterior was scraped and painted. Truckloads of scrap lumber were cut up for firewood and stacked to the roof in the shed. Rooms were painted. A dormer on the 3rd floor was begun. We aspired to keep silence and to work as a form of meditation. But some, like myself, were hardly equal to the task. Sunim occasionally called us down from the scaffolding and gave us a compassionate blast from the garden hose. We got up in the mornings at 4, we practiced until 7, and again every evening from 6 to 10. The days were hot and humid. The work was filthy and tiring, and my ego was under constant assault. We tried our best to leave our wayward ways behind and endeavored to learn the heart of this strange new religious life, half ancient tradition, half modern invention. And those comments came from a member named Yoshin. So I'm going to pause for a moment and ask that as you listen to this story of our beginnings, what inspired you and what are some lessons learned, things that we need to keep with us as we move forward. So I'm going to ask our Dharma teachers to run the microphone and also to focus the camera on those speaking.
I just want a clarification. So Haji Sunam came here along with her partner to help start the temple. So the person who was holding the garden hose was our dear Haji Sunam?
No, someone's in him.
Samas, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was here also.
He came from time to time,
Okay,
yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think one thing that moved me is I think there's this sense of needing to get everything set before one jumps in. And I was moved by the jumping in when everything is still a mess.
I'm inspired by the persistence, by the commitment to an idea that today I think it's easy to see that it was a great idea, but how hard it must have been in the beginning to carry on. So I think there's great value and inspiration in that for me.
I think what I really find inspiring is he came in 1967, right, from South Korea, from a foreign country, and with something that he was so passionate about, meditation. I wasn't sure, I'm not sure how prevalent that was, what was going off of your point, right? And this sort of standing your ground, getting people to come in and buy into that idea. I mean, not just Koreans, but Canadians, and just putting that effort in, I mean, I don't even know how much struggle you would have faced, implicit biases, explicit biases, and all of that, right? Just get this going, so, yeah.
I'm inspired by leaving the ego behind. That's a really difficult thing to do, and especially under such sort of, not austere conditions, but maybe first world austere. But yeah, I'm inspired by him. And I'm inspired by Haju. I don't know what it must have been like for her to take over the temple as a woman at that time, and and her steadfastness.
Here, because we may pass it on a bit later as well. So one of the things that I'm inspired by, and also I think a lesson learned for us to carry forward in the future, is this sense of working together as a Sangha. And how much more we can accomplish when we do things together, and what wonderful results that can lead to. So I see this happening even still today, even in recent years. So this room that we're sitting in was once a bicycle shop, and it was acquired, this building was acquired, I think, the first year that I started coming to the temple, which was like maybe 2004. And at that time, to convert it to this space, what we had to do to bring it up to code was install a steel beam under this floor. And so we were engaged in what we called the big dig. So we didn't hire anybody to do this. What we did was dig a tunnel by hand underneath this building. And I remember there was a bucket brigade, so people would go all the way in, pass buckets all the way out, and we filled up this dump truck full of dirt and hauled it away so that we could install the steel beam. And there were other renovations as well. I think the windows and, the shoji screens, just making it a beautiful space. As you go out today, if you pause and look at one of the poles, they're painted burgundy like this, but one of the poles has a white gap in it, and the names of some of the Sangha members who renovated the place were on it. So that's inspiring together action. Another example of together action that I see every year is an event we call Peace Camp. Have any of you ever been to Peace Camp? Okay, just a few of you. So this is an event that in recent years we have held at Camp Talahi. It's near Howell, Michigan. And we have 120 people, families, kids of all ages, come and live together for a week in tents. And so we have various Dharma activities and fun activities. Get to swim in the big lake. Every morning there's a coffee circle. We talk about Dharma. It's based on the 5 harmonies of how to live together as a Buddhist community. And it takes a ton of work to put that on. And so there is this Peace Camp committee that all year long works to make this event possible. And so based on that community effort, again, we have something very inspiring, and the whole is way more than the sum of the parts. So that brings me to, I think where I'm going to go next with this may be a couple of Dharma talks, but I'm wanting to explore this idea of work as a central piece of our practice together. This goes way back to Korea, probably other Eastern traditions as well. That part of our practice really is engaging in bodily action, in something, creating something together. And to give you an example of how this plays out and why it's important. This past week, I was preparing for a work project that we're doing as a Sangha to help encourage groundhogs to move to a new location. And of course, we wanted to do this based on Buddhist principles, not to harm, but to cherish all life. And so for several weeks, we looked at all sorts of alternatives and options. So we started we called the experts, the critter control companies. And they came out, and for the most part, they said, well, you better take care of this problem. Not only do the groundhog eat all your vegetables, but they can be digging holes. And our solution is to give them this poison. So of course we didn't want to do that. We found 1 or 2 that suggested live trapping. One of our members, OSEC, was here visiting from the farm in upstate New York, and he said that he is so sick of people live trapping groundhogs and coming and dumping them on his property. So thought twice of that as well. We decided to because they ate all of our kale, these groundhogs, every bit of our kale. So we installed a little electrical fence around the base of our garden, and that seems to have helped. We called the Humane Society and said, what would you suggest? And they came up with 2 suggestions. The first was cat pee. And we're fortunate at the moment the temple has a cat. And the cat's name is Monty. And so we've just turned Monty loose outside to go under the decks and to pee all over the place to encourage these groundhogs to leave. The other thing they suggested was tennis balls, soak some tennis balls in ammonia and roll them into the burrows of the groundhogs. And they will find this very obnoxious and they will seek a new home. So we're pursuing that alternative as well. And being the thrifty folks that we are, we didn't want to pay a whole lot of money for this. So for the price of $6, I acquired a gallon of ammonia. We sent an appeal to the Sangha for tennis balls, and somebody suggested, call the local tennis clubs and see if they want to have used balls. And so I did. And so Huron Valley Tennis Club was generous enough to give us a whole bag full of dead tennis balls. And so now, just yesterday, we tried soaking a few in ammonia and getting them down the holes. However, we discovered we don't know what these groundhog holes look like. So we need some help locating the holes, and we can use the Sangha member help for that. So every week, every Saturday from 3 to 5, we have the opportunity to work in our garden. Yesterday, a couple of people came and they cleared all the ivy off the back door to the temple. So those of you who are going into that building for a meeting later on, you'll see how nice it really looks. And before she left town, she's gone for a couple weeks to be with her family, Hutchison. We ran around and we made this whole list of things that needs to get done around the temple. And I'll just read a couple of examples. So plant seeds in the open spots in the garden, clean the gutters over Haji's balcony, hang quilts that was donated from us, take rolling racks from Peace Camp back to the correct rooms, clean the tablecloths that were used at Peace Camp and put them away, wash the windows, trim the pathways, paint the porch, take the fire extinguishers to spears to be replenished, declutter the Kyobon, which is our study room, dust, vacuum, somebody to help us organize books in the library, and on and on and on. So as part of vitalizing the spirit of our Sangha, we invite you to participate in work opportunities like this. As you leave today, you'll see a clipboard about a Sangha Day that's coming up on September 17th from 2:30 to 5:30. And so you could come between those hours, and we'd have a big list like this for you. And we'd say, hey, you can go do this. Would you like to do this? And so on and so forth. 3 to 5 on Saturday, we could always use more help in the garden. And if those designated work times are not convenient for you, please be in touch with the temple and we'll try to work something out so that one of us can show you something to do and you can come over and participate. So this is one piece of the vision that's in my head that hopefully we can develop together over the next 4 years. I think COVID derailed us a little bit. We used to do a lot more of this, but then when people couldn't come to the temple anymore, we lost touch with each other. So this engaged work practice is a way for us to connect to the Sangha. And I'm sure there are many other ideas that people will have. So we'll continue, my hope is we'll continue to have conversations like this from time to time, because this is about us, our Sangha. What do we want people to, 50 years from now, to say about the good old days? What do we want people 500 years from now, as we said in our Diamond Sutra? Will there be people around who want to engage in this practice of Buddhism and to carry forward the spirit of our ancestors? I think those are my comments for today. I wonder if we have, let's see, how much time do we have? I lost the clock. Yeah, we have about 5 minutes. If anybody would like to add to this conversation, I would invite them to do so.
I just want to say thank you for the groundhog story and suggest that you look for holes with fresh dirt around them.
Hi, I come from Mexico, so today is my first time because my friend Patricia talked about this Zen Buddhist temple. So I am very happy to be here. I couldn't catch up on the explanation on the history of the temple, but anyway, it's very inspired. So thank you very much for this experience.
Likewise, today is my first day, and I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
So as you leave today and over the next week, I'm going to give you a little assignment. So I have to put the microphone on for this one. Or you can just hold it. This will take just a moment. So as you leave, I want you to look for something that you can do to make this place just a teeny bit better. And you can do this in your everyday life too, not just here at the temple. So an example might be, is there any trash out front that can be picked up? Any leaves to be swept? Can you identify those groundhog holes for us? These kinds of things. And then here is an example I learned at one of our retreats. If you could hold this. So when you go in the bathroom, the toilet paper is usually hanging like this. So a way to make it just a little bit better is hold it into a triangle. And then fold it again. Hopefully you won't let go of it. And I'm not doing this one very neatly. But you see what you can do. I roll this up again. Oh gosh, my toilet paper example is working out
Maybe
differently
just
than
holding
I
this end, I'll hold the other.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, So then you can put it so that it has this nice, neat point. And then when somebody using the bathroom will say, they even care about the bathroom. So please look for a little way to make something better. I think that brings us to announcements.
Good morning, everybody. Just a few announcements for today, particularly if you are new, reminding everyone that we have public services every Sunday at 10 a.m., both in person and online on our YouTube channel. And then our 4 p.m. in-person service is transitioning to be the first and third Sunday of every month. So keep that in mind as another option for in-person. Sure. We also have an 8 p.m. online service every Sunday, and there is a URL on our sheet here that you can join. I believe it takes place via Zoom, correct? Yeah, on Zoom. Our family program is starting up again September 11th, and that also meets on Sundays at just before 10 a.m. We have a one-day meditation retreat coming up November 26th, and our 5-week intro to meditation course, which is Thursday evening, 6:30 to 8:30, will begin again September 8th. There'll be an overnight version of that if you cannot make the 5-week session, September 16th and 17th. So that's a Friday evening through a Sunday, or Friday evening through a Saturday at around noon. Let's see what else. We also have yoga classes on Tuesday evenings. The next session begins September 6th. That's 6:30 to 8. And something to consider for deepening your practice and knowledge of Buddhism is our fall practice period, which will begin October 16th. That's 8 Sundays right after this service, or around 11:45 in the morning. The topic for this fall will be Buddhism Plain and Simple, which is the title of a book that you'll study together. And then, as Ma'u mentioned, our fall Sangha Day, 2:30 to 5:30, September 17th, is also coming up in a few weeks. So you're welcome to take one of these yellow sheets, and there are sign-up forms for any of the activities that I've mentioned in the lobby. Any other announcements or groups? Yes.
Recovery Dharma meets at noon today in the Yellow House, the Yellow Temple House. And also there is a bin of tomatoes out there, heirloom tomatoes that are free for you to take home with you, not to